Zyon Pullin is exactly what the Miami Heat needed.
Over the top, he's thrown away. And a chance for a team.
Said it, I'm golden. Told you I'm shining. Had to break through. Play perfect timing.
So a couple of days ago, the Miami Heat officially signed a couple of two-way players. They got Kashad Johnson, who I love. He's basically a PJ Tucker with Derrick Jones Jr. athleticism. He has me super excited, but I've posted a whole video on him, so y'all could check that out if you haven't already. But they also got Zyon Pullin out of Florida, a guy who basically is a true point guard, something that the Heat haven't had in a long time, but I think that they desperately need. I've seen a lot of comparisons to Tyus Jones, but I actually think it's not a bad comparison, but he's a much... Hold up, stop the video. If I miss this shot, I'm asked. If I make it, you subscribe. Let's get it. Cash money, baby. Let's get it. Tyus Jones is only about 6'1", whereas Zyon Pullin measured in at 6'4", with a 6'6" wingspan and 206 pounds. So obviously the defensive potential there is very good as far as a point of attack guy. And, you know, for that reason, and through my research, a comparison that I kind of like better, that Heat fans may be more familiar with, is Zyon Pullin is basically like a better passing Gabe Vincent, which I absolutely love because I think the Heat have still been trying to fill that void since Gabe Vincent left as far as you know, a point of attack defensive guy. I know they got DeLon Wright, but Wright isn't exactly the scorer that we know Gabe Vincent was capable of. So I do think Zyon Pullin provides a lot of those things. But at 23 years old, he played 4 seasons at a smaller school called UC Riverside, but he finished his super senior season at Florida, where he averaged 15.5 points a night with 4 rebounds and 5 assists. He shot 44% from the field and 45% from 3 on 2.5 attempts. So you love to see it. Now, I don't particularly like Florida because I'm a Miami boy, but the Heat have had some success getting guys from that school like Mike Miller, Udonis Haslem. Shout out to the OGs there. But there is a few things with these numbers that really stand out to me. Number one is the assist to turnover ratio, because he averaged basically 5 assists a night to 1 turnover. And that is an elite ratio, something that guys like Tyus Jones and his brother Trey Jones were always great at as well. And you love that type of player because they're basically a, you know, low risk, high reward type of point guard, a no mistake type of guy. And when you're bringing someone into a roster who is going to fill a smaller role on a team that's trying to win now, that's exactly what you need. Basically someone who's not going to mess things up, not going to make a lot of mistakes. And that is what Zyon Pullin is. I mean, I think a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio is really good. So the fact that he's at 5-to-1 is just incredible. And I also like too, when he did have obviously a bigger role at the smaller school at UC Riverside, he averaged 18 points a night. But then when he went to a big school like Florida, obviously had a reduced role, he still averaged 15 points a night. So it's not like he got called up to the big leagues now in the SEC and fell off a cliff. He still was very, very good. Obviously, the three-point efficiency was great, and the mistakes were very low. So that tells me that he is a big-time player that's ready to make the next jump from high-level college basketball to the NBA. And we know the Heat like to take these guys that have a different path, start at the small schools, eventually get bigger, go to bigger schools like Duncan Robinson, and then they usually find really good success with the Heat, especially once the Heat get to develop them for a year or two. So all of this stuff being said, I don't know how much Zyon Pullin will play, if at all, this season, but I do think he's a guy that they could definitely use. So maybe he gets some spot minutes, and definitely maybe by next season he could be a real contributor. But we'll see what happens in Summer League. I do want to point out that the Ringer, they have these badges that they give all these prospects. And I love the ones that they gave Zyon. They gave him floor general. They gave him feel for the game, on-ball defense, pull-up threat. And when you look at those badges, tell me that doesn't remind you of Gabe Vincent. I really like that from him. So offensively, he's a guy that can score off the dribble. He has a nice mid-range pull-up. He has a nice step-back 3, all things that make him a more of a versatile player, not just sort of you catch and shoot, you know, pull-up 3-point shooter. He is a guy that you can give the ball to and maybe get a bucket to help out some of your other stars if they're getting double teamed, something like that. If it's late in the shot clock and he catches a grenade, he's a guy that can make a move and score for you, which is something that you love to see. But as far as his, on the court handle and movement, he's a great change of pace guy. And that's a skill for a younger guy that, he's 23 years old, so he's not young compared to rookies. But obviously, in the grand scheme of things in the league, 23 years old is not that old. So when you have a guy that can already score off the dribble and can change pace with the ball, those are very positive things when you're talking about the potential of a player. Because guys that can change pace with the dribble, that's not easy. They make it look easy, but it's difficult. And obviously being able to do that really throws the defense off and allows you to get to your spots, whether it's driving into the lane to finish, driving to kick outside, or just driving to pull up with a floater, which also Zyon Pullin is very good at. He does have a nice floater on him. And I should mention as well, he is speedy enough and crafty enough to get into the paint. His free throw rate is awesome. And I'm talking attempts. His super senior season at Florida, he averaged 6 free throw attempts a night. 6 from a guard spot. Imagine Tyler Hero can barely get you 2 free throw attempts a game. This kid is getting 6. And he did knock them down at a 85% clip. So he's very good at getting to the line because he is so crafty. And I love to see that from the guard position. The Heat are always towards the bottom of the league in free throw attempts rate. Because really the only guys that get there consistently is Jimmy and Bam. And it's critical to get to the line. It slows the game down. You get easy points. I really want to see the Heat start to improve on that. It's not going to happen because of Zyon Pullin, but it is a positive in his regard that I do think is pretty important to point out as well. Obviously, as a passer, we know he's pretty elite. He's great in the pick and roll. He's great finding guys cutting backdoor, that sort of thing. And the Heat obviously have weapons that are elite in the pick and roll. Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware. I really want to see those guys get some more easy touches in the paint, and Zyon Pullin is a guy that can help with that. Tyler Hero is obviously not a great facilitator. He's gotten better, I know, but that's not his game. Terry Rozier was a decent pick and lob guy, but we didn't see too much of that with the Miami Heat, and obviously you look at him as more of a scorer as well. So I do like that they actually got a true point guard this time. But as far as defensively, that's kind of what gets me excited as well. He's a very quick lateral defender. He's a guy that can hound you, a guy that can fight through screens. All of these, I feel like I'm describing Gabe Vincent all video. That's what he is, except a better, a true point guard Gabe Vincent. I'm very high on Zyon Pullin after my research, and he also has the size, 6'4", 6'6" wingspan. He has the arms to be disruptive. He has a nice size to him, 206 pounds. He could body up a little bit so he won't get bullied in the paint. These are all just things that have me very high on Zyon Pullin. And again, just like Kashad Johnson, I'm stunned how this kid went undrafted. I don't get it. The only thing I could say as to maybe why he went undrafted is because he's 23 years old and teams don't usually like those older super senior prospects, and really just because he's not flashy. And these teams, they don't do their research like the Miami Heat do. Adam Steinman is in his bag this time of year. And other GMs and scouts, they just ain't like that. Now, also on the Ringers breakdown, the only thing they had for minuses, because I'm reading these positives, right? I'm watching videos, doing research, and I'm like, what can't this kid do? What is the downside to him? There has to be something. So in the Ringers, scouting report, the first thing it said under minuses is he hasn't had a dunk all season. I don't care. The dude is getting buckets and he got a strap and he can pass and defend. What the hell do I care if he could dunk a basketball? They also said he wasn't great at finishing in the paint in general, but he has a floater. As a guard, all you really need is a floater. You don't have to be Kyrie Irving with all these crafty layups. I'm cool on that. And plus, from what I've seen, it's not like he can't make a layup. I've seen him go left hand, right hand finish, just the basic stuff. You don't have to have a super crafty layup package. As long as you got that floater, you can score inside. And he has a good midi pull up, so he's not just outcasted to the 3-point line. I'm fine with that. Plus, even in his last season in college, he took 11 shots a game and only 2.5 of them were threes. He's obviously way more crafty than just a 3-point shooter. I don't care how athletic he is in the paint. And then the only other minus they said for him on the Ringer is that he didn't shoot spot-up threes well at Florida. But his overall 3-point percentage was 45%. So what the hell are you talking about? The kid is a sniper. So I love everything I've heard about him. Really just seems like a perfect prospect as far as value, as an undrafted guy. And he is a guy that I think can possibly, he might play this season. I know I said he might not, but they need him, man, because the Heat haven't had a true facilitating point guard in a long time. We've talked about Kyle Lowry, who was kind of supposed to be that, but he also kind of really actually sucked. So they could use him. And I think even as a guy who can come off the bench and run a second unit off the bench, maybe you put Tyler Hero back on the bench, because we know Tyler's fit with Terry Rozier isn't great. So now you can let Tyler do his scoring off the bench, and you have Zyon Pullin to be the facilitator. I think that matchup is nice. Plus, you got the defense, offense in that regard. I really think he's the guy that just, he fits perfect, and I really can't stress that enough. Now, the Heat, I'm curious what the rest of their two-way situation is going to be. They extended options to Cole Swider and Alondes Williams. We didn't hear nothing about Jamal Cain. Some people think he's gone, but I think the Heat might actually sign Jamal Cain to a standard deal. And the deals with Swider and Alondes, I think those are training camp, summer league things. But I could also see Alondes Williams getting a standard deal, and then your two ways would be Swider, Keshad Johnson, and then also Zyon Pullin. But that's pretty much all I got to say for this video. Let me know what y'all think down below. Are you as excited for Zyon Pullin as I am? Do you think the fit is as great? Let me know what you think down below. The summer league is starting in like a week, so I'm excited to actually see these guys hit the court. Make sure to like the video and subscribe, because I'm on my grind to hit 5K subs by the start of next season. A pace that looks like we're going to blow through the roof. Looks like we're going to hit that pretty soon. So I do greatly appreciate all the support we've gotten over the last couple of days. I'll continue pumping out the content, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.